Title: Shocking I Died in Jesus Showed Me 3 Events Coming Before 2025. Shocking NDE. A harrowing encounter with death led to a miraculous encounter with Jesus. This shocking testimony offers a glimpse of what may lie ahead, leaving us to wonder, were these events inevitable? Or can humanity change course before it's too late? My name is Jason John. I never thought that an ordinary morning could change my life so much. It was a cool Tuesday in early fall. I was rushing down the stairs from the 3rd floor to get to work on time, my mind full of tasks that needed to be completed. But at that moment, one wrong step changed everything. My shoes slipped on the slippery edge of the stairs, and in a split second, I felt myself being pulled back by gravity. A sense of panic washed over me as I tried to grab the handrail, but it was too late. I tumbled down the stairs, the sound of my body hitting the hard wooden steps echoing in the quiet. My head hit the corner of the wall, and everything seemed to stop. I lay there, motionless, as my consciousness slowly faded. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Heaven's Whisper today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith. In that fragile moment, I felt an absolute stillness, the kind that dissipated all fear. My mind raced through memories, from happy moments with my family to unfulfilled dreams. As the light faded, only one thought remained. I would not let this fall define my life. I had to get up, overcome, no matter how difficult the road ahead. And in that heavy silence, I realized that sometimes the most painful falls are the beginning of great changes. I tried to speak, maybe to cry for help or just to be Python style, but no sound came out of my mouth. Anger spread from the wings down my body, and I felt something warm coming straight at me. The last thought that came to my mind was, I was probably going to die. Surprisingly, the realization didn't scare me as much as I thought it would. On the contrary, I felt like I had just let go of an invisible burden that I had been carrying for years. Then darkness enveloped everything. In that moment, I felt the world around me disappear completely. No more footsteps, no more voices echoing from the hallway, and the pain disappeared. I drifted into an endless space where everything was absolutely silent. In that deep place, I realized I had crossed the boundary of physical life. There was no explosion, only strange things, as if I had discovered a great secret of the universe. When consciousness returned, I saw nothing but a screen. It was as if someone had turned off all the lights, leaving me floating in a colorless realm. The silence was profound. There was no more pounding, no more sound, just a complete silence, repeating itself over and over again. I could no longer feel my base, my limbs, my gravity. All of it had to have vanished. But strangely, I still felt myself, like a presence escaping the familiar physical shell. The darkness around me was not scary, but rather warm. An invisible energy was still present, neither welcoming nor threatening. Simply, like a blank canvas waiting to be painted. I felt my thoughts echoing in the air, each thought creating a tiny ripple in it. The memory of the breakthrough returned, the image of me stepping on the stairs, the sound of the collision, the feeling of the blockage ending. A flood of questions flooded my mind. Am I dead? This must be a state of apathy. The more I pondered, the more I realized that in this emptiness, I found myself journeying deeper into a reality that felt both unfamiliar and strangely comforting. Each passing moment brought me closer to a soft, radiant glow that illuminated the space around me. The light seemed alive, shifting and dancing with hues I had never seen before, colors beyond earthly comprehension, each one evoking a profound sense of peace and gratitude. As I moved forward, I began to hear a faint, melodic resonance. At first, it was like a gentle breeze, a barely audible whisper, but with every step, or perhaps glide, it became clearer, evolving into a harmony that transcended human understanding. It wasn't music as I had known it. It was pure, resonant harmony, a symphony of serenity that seemed to vibrate within my very being. Each note carried an unspoken message, as though the universe itself was reassuring me, you are on the right path, despite the lingering shadows of the tunnel behind me. I felt no desire to look back. My focus was entirely on the light ahead, its promise drawing me like a beacon. Although I neither saw figures nor heard voices, the presence of something divine was denied. The light seemed to breathe, offering a silent yet profound sense of acceptance. As I neared the tunnel's end, the light accelerated, transforming into a radiant expanse that beckoned me forward. My entire essence quivered with anticipation, a mix of exhilaration and deep calm. I sensed that this place held answers to questions I hadn't yet formed, truths waiting to be revealed. The melody swelled around me, weaving an atmosphere of infinite love. Without any awareness of time or space, I reached the threshold. The brilliance was overwhelming, yet it didn't hurt. It enveloped me, soothing every wound, both seen and unseen, as if I were being healed at the very core of my being. At the tunnel's end, I realized I was no longer alone. The light was not merely illumination. It was presence living, aware, and profoundly compassionate. In that instant, I recognized who stood before me. Though I had grown up with little certainty about faith, I knew this was someone beyond words or titles. It wasn't a vision of grandeur or iconography, but a being of pure love and understanding. He stood before me, cloaked in light that seemed to ripple with life. His face radiated a warmth and kindness beyond human measure. Every trace of fear or doubt I carried dissolved in his presence. It felt as though he had always known me. Every thought and regret, every wound I had tried to hide. There was no judgment in his gaze, only boundless compassion. Without words, we communicated, spirit to spirit. In that silent exchange, I understood. Every moment of my life had been seen and cherished. Even the ones I believed were too broken to matter. The joys, the sorrows, the failures, they were all threads in a greater tapestry, none of which diminished my worth. An overwhelming sense of peace flowed through me, as if I had been submerged in a sea of unconditional love. Though I was keenly aware of my flaws, the times I had been selfish, moments of pride and hurt, they felt insignificant in the presence of such grace. Instead, I was invited to release those burdens, to let go of the weight I had carried for so long. Though no words were spoken, I felt a silent assurance. You are loved. You always have been, and you always will be. I understood, almost aloud, that Jesus had more to reveal to me. His gaze, gentle yet profound, conveyed a silent urgency. The knowledge I was about to receive would reshape not only my understanding of life, but could also impact countless others. A quiet anticipation filled my heart, urging me to remain fully present, to absorb every revelation with an open spirit. In this divine encounter, I found that all memories of my earthly accident, the pain, the fear, the chaos of the hospital, had faded into insignificance. None of it mattered here. I was enveloped in awe and serenity, wholly receptive to the love and truth radiating from him. The overwhelming light that bathed everything around us emanated from his very being, illuminating not only my surroundings, but the deepest corners of my consciousness. Then, with a slight inclination of his head, he urged me to look beyond him. I sensed that he was about to unveil something momentous, something that would profoundly influence not just my path, but the paths of many others on earth. My spirit trembled, not from fear, but from an anticipation steeped in reverence. Suddenly, a series of vivid visions unfolded before me. It was as though we stood within an immense, living panorama. Yet, throughout, I could still feel his steady, reassuring presence by my side. These visions were not like a movie to be passively watched. They were immersive, engaging all my senses. Though they portrayed future events, I experienced them as if I were living within them. The first vision revealed a United States under siege by the unyielding forces of extreme weather, a land where nature's wrath struck with terrifying precision. Catastrophic storms ripped through coastal cities, uprooting homes and turning once bustling neighborhoods into fields of debris. Relentless heat waves scorched the heartland, leaving rivers dry and crops withered under an unforgiving sun. In regions unaccustomed to heavy rainfall, unprecedented floods swept away bridges and inundated entire towns, leaving communities isolated and desperate. The scenes were harrowing, families clinging to rooftops as murky waters surged below, rescue helicopters weaving through storm-laden skies, and highways transformed into rivers. For those who had never experienced such disasters, the shock was profound. Panic gave way to a daunting realization of vulnerability. Yet amidst the chaos, humanity's resilience shone through. Strangers opened their doors to provide food and shelter to the displaced. Impromptu rescue teams, formed by people who had never met before, navigated treacherous waters to deliver aid. Neighbors who once lived in quiet disconnection came together, linking arms to build makeshift levees and distribute supplies. Political divisions, racial tensions, and religious differences dissolved in the face of shared hardship. A new sense of unity emerged, born not out of comfort, but out of necessity and a collective desire to survive. It became clear that these trials were not mere punishments, but profound lessons. The vision carried a poignant message. Humanity's strength lies not in its ability to conquer nature, but in its capacity to stand together, to rebuild with compassion, and to rediscover a shared purpose amidst the fury of the elements. The second vision shifted to a turbulent landscape of political and social unrest. At first, the tension simmered beneath the surface, a quiet yet palpable undercurrent of discontent rippling through cities and small towns alike. But soon, the pressure became too great, and it erupted into fiery protests, marches that filled the streets, and heated debates that dominated the airwaves. Communities found themselves divided, with friendships and families fractured by ideological clashes. The anger and frustration were undeniable, and the threat of disintegration loomed large. Yet, amidst this storm of discord, a profound and unexpected transformation began to take shape. I saw groups of people, once strangers, kneeling together in spontaneous prayer gatherings. These were not orchestrated events, but deeply organic moments, where individuals from different faiths, backgrounds, and walks of life came together in shared humility. In the flickering glow of candlelight vigils, voices rose in unison, praying not only for peace and justice, but for the healing of a fractured nation. As the prayers grew in fervor, something remarkable began to unfold. A wave of reconciliation swept through the heart of the turmoil, softening hearts that had been hardened by years of division. Long-standing grievances gave way to understanding, and dialogues replaced confrontations. Communities that once seemed on the brink of collapse found themselves slowly bridging the chasms that divided them. This vision revealed that the unrest, though painful and tumultuous, was not without purpose. It became a crucible, forging a spiritual awakening that reconnected people with a deeper sense of purpose and faith. In a time of uncertainty, the collective turning back to God offered a beacon of hope and a reminder that even in the darkest moments, renewal and healing remain possible. I understood, almost out loud, that Jesus wanted to reveal something deeper to me. His gaze, gentle yet profound, conveyed a quiet urgency. What I was about to witness would not only reshape the way I saw life, but could also impact countless others. A sense of anticipation filled my soul, urging me to be fully present, ready to receive everything with an open heart. After witnessing images of solidarity between communities in the face of natural disasters and spiritual awakenings in the face of social unrest, a third vision opened up with a completely different scene. I saw a quiet night on Earth, the sky sparkling with stars. But the familiar light of the constellations was suddenly overshadowed by the appearance of strange objects hovering in the sky. Huge ships, emitting a dim green and silver light, descended silently over the vast fields. They made no noise or any sign of threat. I saw people from all over, drawn by an irresistible sense of curiosity. In this vision, I was among them, feeling a strange combination of excitement and peace. From the ships, tall beings stepped out. They had graceful figures, smooth skin like silver, large and deep eyes that seemed to contain the entire universe. They did not speak words, but I felt messages transmitted directly to my mind. These beings did not come to dominate or destroy, but to share knowledge, insights that were far beyond human understanding. They brought with them a message of harmony between civilizations, emphasizing that Earth's existence was an important part of the overall picture of the universe. They showed images of other planets, where life flourished in forms that humans had never imagined. They spoke of cycles of growth and decline, emphasizing that humanity was at a crucial crossroads. They not only warn of the dangers of environmental destruction and war, but also give humanity hope that change is possible if we choose the path of unity and love. In their presence, I felt a deep sense of humility. These beings are not gods, but fellow travelers on a journey to discover the truth of the universe. The vision ends with humans and aliens standing together, exchanging knowledge and building a future based on mutual understanding. As the light from the visions faded, I realized that this message was not just for me. It was a call to all of humanity to open our hearts, overcome our fear of what is different, and move together toward a future full of possibilities. These visions reminded people that they were part of a larger family. Throughout the visions, Jesus was always close by, radiating an unfailing love. He conveyed directly to my heart that these events, while challenging, were paths to unity, empathy, and a deeper dependence on God. I felt clearly that fear and chaos did not need to dominate the narrative. Instead, these events could become turning points where individuals and nations chose to draw closer to each other and to God. In that solemn yet hopeful moment, I understood that what was being revealed to me was not meant to instill fear, but to awaken compassion and faith in the hearts of all who would hear this testimony. As I saw images of flooded neighborhoods, families standing on rooftops pleading for help, my heart ached more than ever. The vision of the flooding was so real that I could almost feel the cold, murky water rising around my ankles. But Jesus, with his calm and comforting presence, seemed to remind me to look beyond the devastation to see what was happening in people's hearts. Despite streets turned into rivers, cars half submerged, and rescue teams working to exhaustion, I witnessed an unexpected outpouring of compassion throughout devastated communities. Unsung heroes emerged from everyday life. Neighbors joined hands in chains to rescue people trapped in flooded cars. Shopkeepers opened their doors to anyone seeking shelter, and volunteers drove for hours from all over to help. In one scene, I saw a teenager carrying an elderly woman through waist-deep water, his shoes swept away in the flood. But what struck me most was the steadfast look on his face. No panic, no resentment, just total focus on saving a human life. The view expanded to different regions across the country. Places accustomed to drought were hit by unusually heavy rains, while coastal cities faced unprecedented waves. Roads collapsed, power grids went down, and entire communities were cut off from basic necessities. Yet, despite it all, people still found ways to help each other. I saw high school students in the Midwest create an online platform to connect volunteers with flood victims in need of rescue boats. In the Southeast, churches and mosques set aside doctrinal differences to turn their buildings into makeshift evacuation centers. Messages of hope were spray-painted on boarded-up windows. Stay strong. We will rebuild. You are not alone. Even in the midst of terrible loss, people cling to the belief that love is stronger than any disaster. As I watched these scenes, I felt an emotional knot tighten in my chest. The devastation was undeniable, but so was the powerful spirit of unity. Jesus seemed to be emphasizing a simple truth. In the face of adversity, the human heart has the capacity to rise above all selfishness. It is in times of disaster that we often find a sense of connection, of human sharing. By the end of this vision, I understood why it had been shown to me. Jesus was not warning of endless days of misery. He was revealing the transformative power of compassion. The floods and storms were not just disasters but catalysts, prompting people to either close in on themselves or extend a helping hand. In this pivotal choice, countless individuals chose solidarity, kindness, and mutual support, planting the seeds of a profound healing that went far beyond repairing physical damage. The second vision took me from scenes of natural disaster to the ferment in the city streets. I saw large crowds gathered in public squares, holding signs and chanting slogans. Initially, the protests were peaceful, with people expressing their views on social injustice, economic disparity, and frustration with politics. But as tensions escalated, emotions flared. and the peaceful gatherings quickly turned into angry confrontations. Sirens blared in the background, and rows of police officers stood shoulder to shoulder, trying to contain the growing chaos. Despite the chaos, I sensed a deep undercurrent of longing. People weren't just angry, they were looking for hope, for clear direction, and for leaders who truly cared about their pain. The turmoil wasn't limited to the lower classes. Amid the screams and tear gas, an unexpected glimmer of hope emerged. Some voices called for peace, dialogue, and even prayer. I recognized major American cities like New York, Chicago, and Los Angeles, where small groups began forming prayer circles on the edges of protests. Though they were sometimes ridiculed or ignored, they persisted in their quiet devotion, providing a moment of calm in a sea of turmoil. These interfaith prayers welcomed anyone, Muslims, Christians, Jews, and even non-believers. I felt a warmth spread through me as I watched these circles grow larger each day, drawing in both skeptics and weary souls. The power of collective prayer became a comforting, stabilizing anchor in divided communities. But this test of faith is not just about religious practice, but also about a deeper commitment to understanding and compassion. Politicians face enormous pressure, some exploiting divisions for personal gain, while others make genuine efforts to reconcile. On social media, opinions explode at breakneck speed, amplifying both hostility and calls for peace. The entire country is walking a tightrope between the brink of deeper conflict or choosing to stand together in faith and unity. I sense the steadfast presence of Jesus behind these scenes, gently nudging people towards self-reflection. Will you hate each other, or will you love each other? The question echoes over and over as families are torn apart by heated debates. Churches are torn apart by political differences, and friendships crumble under the weight of opposing views. Yet in every moment of potential rupture, there is also an invitation to choose the higher path, the path of humility and openness. Through these visions, I realized that the test of faith is not blind allegiance to a doctrine or party, but the ability to dig deep into one's beliefs and ethics, to listen, forgive, and work toward unity. Jesus allowed me to see that, as frightening as chaos may seem, it holds the potential for a profound revival, a revival that transcends divisions and brings the spiritual clarity that can only come from honest struggle. The third vision opened up a broader perspective. I saw the entire world in a state of upheaval, not just the struggles of one nation. These changes are not limited to hurricanes or protests, but encompass profound shifts in the economy, health, and how people interact with technology and daily life. Fear seems to spread like wildfire in many communities, fueled by uncertainty about jobs, access to healthcare, and the pace of social change. Yet, amid this anxiety, something magical is beginning to emerge, a collective desire to remember and rediscover our common humanity. I have seen people from diverse cultures and backgrounds come together to build new forms of collaboration. Community meetings have moved online, allowing previously marginalized voices to participate in decision-making. Grassroots movements have fueled the growth of local businesses and farmers, creating microeconomies that prioritize sustainability over profit. Families, once separated by distance, are finding ways to connect through technology, nurturing relationships in ways never before tapped. As more people realize how intimately connected their lives are, they are also understanding that the success of one community depends on the well-being of all others. Religious organizations of all faiths face a moment of introspection. Many are beginning to re-examine their core values, wondering whether they are merely social clubs or true beacons of hope and compassion. Houses of worship that are adapting to the new times have opened their doors, both physically and virtually, to meet real needs. Volunteers are organizing food deliveries to seniors, providing mental health support, and hosting virtual motivational sessions. The boundaries that once divided communities, like denominational differences, are fading, replaced by a shared purpose of lifting each other up. What was most moving about this vision were the stories of ordinary people performing small acts of heroism. In one scene, I saw a young single mother quietly slip an envelope of cash under the door of a neighbor who had just lost her job. In another, A group of teenagers repaired the broken car of an elderly widow. Time and again, these seemingly small gestures weave a global tapestry of kindness. While fear is still present, it is increasingly overshadowed by a compassion that is determined to transcend cultural or geographic boundaries. Throughout this vision, I felt Jesus' assurance. He showed me that the great awakening of the heart will not come from empty promises or commands from above. Instead, it will blossom through individual choices, one person's decision to forgive, another's choice to share, and yet another's courage to overcome social divisions. Jesus communicated that this awakening was not just a passing trend, but a call to reshape ourselves with the deepest truths of love and service. The trials he revealed would be the crucible where faith, compassion, and unity would be refined, and as these virtues spread, they would light the way for future generations. Immediately after these sweeping visions, I felt Jesus' compassionate presence again, enveloping me in an unshakable peace. Though my mind was filled with questions, how can people prepare for these events? What if fear prevails? Can we fail? Jesus responded with a profound gentleness that calmed the anxiety in my heart. Without words, but with a direct understanding, he communicated that while the coming times would be challenging, we should not succumb to fear or despair. I understand that fear can be more destructive than any disaster. Jesus' advice impressed on me the importance of keeping love in our hearts. Even when the world around us seems to be in chaos, he emphasized that each of us is responsible for cultivating that love in our own hearts first. In order to spread love to the world, we must first cultivate compassion in the small moments of our daily lives. Whether it is comforting a worried friend or being patient in stressful situations, every act of love, however small, carries great weight in changing the spiritual climate. Jesus reminds us that no one has to walk this path alone. We have resources both visible and invisible. People can find comfort in their faith community, the support of family and friends, as well as in spiritual teachings or the Bible, which are timeless reminders of hope and perseverance. But beyond all earthly things, we always have the guidance of a divine presence that never abandons us. Jesus showed me that the ultimate source of courage and strength can be found when we turn inward, in prayer or meditation, aligning our hearts with the infinite mercy of our Creator. Another important message he emphasized was the urgent need for unity. He pointed out that divisions, whether political, religious, or social, erode the collective strength needed to face challenges. While disagreements are inevitable, they do not have to turn into contempt. Jesus taught that the most important lesson is to learn how to disagree in love, to remain respectful and open to the views of others. This does not mean abandoning one's beliefs, but rather to approach differences with humility and understanding. In the enveloping presence of love, I sense the message Jesus had for me: share what you have seen, not to instill fear, but to inspire faith. There were no stern commands or threats, just a gentle invitation to sow seeds of hope. He wanted everyone to understand that, while challenging events may be coming, how we collectively respond can shape a brighter future. Through these words of comfort and guidance, I realized that the visions I had witnessed were not meant to frighten people, but to help us remember who we truly are: children of a loving Creator, capable of infinite kindness, compassion, and unity when we choose to live from our hearts. When I opened my eyes, the first feeling was not panic or pain, but a strange peace. The white light from the hospital room mixed with the memory of the vision I had just experienced. As if the boundary between the two worlds was still blurred, I realized that I had returned, but with profound changes in my heart, valuable lessons that I knew would shape my life from here on out. Before my near-death experience, my life was just a busy series of days with work, responsibilities, and daily worries. I was always racing against time, trying to complete everything but forgetting the most important things: love, connection with people, and the true meaning of existence. This experience changed everything. The visions I witnessed left a strong mark on me. I clearly remember the presence of Jesus, the loving light, and the visionary scenes of suffering and unity, images of natural disasters, division, and ultimately the rebirth of compassion in the community were etched in my mind. He reminded me that every small act of kindness has great meaning and that life is not just about what we see, but also about spiritual connections that transcend all boundaries. After I woke up, I realized that I could not continue living as I had before. I decided to change the way I viewed life and treated people around me. Small worries no longer occupied my mind. Instead, I began to pay attention to the simple but meaningful moments in life. A smile from a loved one, a peaceful morning, or a sincere thank you from someone. I also began to actively connect with those around me. Before, I often felt distant from the community, but now I understand that connection is the foundation for overcoming great challenges. I participated in charity work, helped those in need, and sought to spread the message of love, patience, and compassion. Not only that, I also learned how to face differences. Through the vision of social disagreements and how people overcome them, I realized that differences are not something to avoid, but an opportunity to understand and grow. I began to listen to others with an open mind, no longer quickly judging or imposing my opinions. Another big change is my relationship with faith. Previously, my faith was often obscured by doubts and pressures of life, but after this experience, I felt God's presence clearly in every moment. I spent more time praying, meditating, and seeking guidance from spiritual teachings. Life after a near-death experience is not easy, but it brings a clearer purpose to life. I learned to slow down, appreciate the simple things, and find joy in service. Challenges still exist, but I face them with a calm mind and the confidence that love can heal all wounds. Ultimately, I realized that this experience has not only changed me, but also given me the opportunity to change the world around me. I know that every step, every act of love I take is a small part of a bigger picture, a picture of unity, hope, and light. And with these visions guiding me, I will continue on this meaningful journey. If you believe in God and near-death experiences, subscribe to Heaven's Whisper today. Discover inspiring messages from God through powerful near-death stories that bring hope and understanding. Subscribe now and join us in spreading the light of faith.